Hello. So today is the last day of Transformers, and we'll be discussing how we are actually gonna build the Transformer today. We have already done all the individual parts, and this will be a short video, and we'll just explain how it works. Okay. So basically, we have the inputs. Let's say if I put an input, if I have a corpus of let's say mm, famous dialogues. Okay, dia dialogues. Okay, I don't know the spelling of dialogues. Yes, dialogues. Yeah. This famous dialogue. So let's say I'm trying to replicate the thing. Luke, I am your father. Okay. I want to see what's here after your. Okay. So what I do is that I input Luke, I am your. Okay. This is my input. It goes through this embedding and positional encoding, which we studied earlier. Then it goes to multi-head attention. Then what happens is that we add the values and normalize, like we did in earlier when I taught you layer norm. And now there are some skip connections you can do in the middle of training, as discussed earlier. Then we have feed forward and again layer norm. So this is my encoder part. This is my encoder part. This is called the encoder. The encoder part is done. That's it. Now my outputs. Okay. Now there are two things called training and inference. During training, what you do, you shift the outputs a bit. Let's say what will be my this thing. This should not be written like this should be written like this, right? Start token, Luke, I am. This is your input. Okay, my output should be shifted to the right. Okay, so my output will be Luke, I am your. So I shifted it by one to the left, and it will try to predict the next word. Okay. So what happens? We do the positional encoding and output embedding here also. We embed this Luke, I am your here. Then we have a masked multi-head attention. Earlier it was just multi-head attention. Now it is masked multi-head attention. And now add and norm is there, and there is normalization here too. And from this part is my decoder. Okay, decoder. So from my decoder, what happens? We only take the value part. Okay, if you see this arrow, this is just the value part. This is the value part. And from the encoder part, the output should be K and Q. So from the encoder we are taking the key and the query, and from the decoder part we are taking the value, and we put it through a multi-head attention, then add and norm, then feed and forward, then add and norm. As simple as that. We have explained every bit of this in detail. Okay, now then it goes through a linear place, and then it will go through a softmax, and then we get the output probability like we discussed in feed forward. If you remember, it goes through and we get the probability. So if we will see that the answer, the word father will have the highest probability here. Okay, so now there are two things. Okay, now there are two things that can happen. One is training and inference. Basically, think of training as we are training the model, as simple as the inference is taking out the output. Training, what we do, whatever output probability we get, right? Whatever the output we get, like the output will look, I am a father, right? The father is the highest probability. So we compare it with the correct answer. So whatever it is there, and then we find out the loss function, and then we run a normal training loop. As simple as that. And that's how we train the model. But during inference, okay, during inference what we do, we have already trained the model, and we push push our input. Let's say who is Luke's father, right? Then the output will give me Luke. I means me. I am Luke's father, right? So Luke, who is Luke's father? I, or me. So this is what is the main thing, how a transformer basically works in detail. Now I didn't go in much detail about how this works, because we have explained to you how each section works. What you have to do in this part, the main part is the coding part, which is your assignment, is you have to combine all of them. Combine all of them to make this. That's it, nothing else. You have to combine all of them to make this. This is the encoder block, this is the decoder block. So how you are supposed to make it? You are supposed to make a feed forward, a normalization, a multi-head attention, a masked multi-head attention, an embedding, encoding, feed forward. 7 classes you make on your own first. Okay. You make this, I'm just telling you how to do it. 7 classes you make it on your own. And then after those 7 classes, you make two transformer blocks. So encoder block and decoder block. And you write this whole part into two halves. This part will be one half and this part will be one half. After you have done this, the final class will be the transformer block where you mix encoder and decoder part together. So this is how you build the transformer here. So that's it. And we end transformers with this, and we hope you finish the assignment and have understood everything done here.